You fool.
Hello everyone!
Hello everyone! Welcome to the Openly Beta Christmas Special.
This is not the Openly Beta Christmas Special.
The Openly Beta Christmas Special.
The Openly Beta Christmas Special last year was very grand. And so we're
Look
not
at the set.
we're not calling this Christmas Special. If you see another episode that is really grand, that is the Christmas special. If it's not, then there wasn't one.
This is the Christmas Special. Look at all the snow in the background.
Oh, we're very special, and we're wearing Christmas jumpers, but we haven't got Tony, and we're not in the old set, which is way more exciting.
But we are in a winter wonderland.
I kind of want to return to going back to my parents' house and filming in their.
Sorry, do you mean Openly Beta Studios? Yeah, Openly Studios was good. We've moved into Openly Towers, which doesn't have as much of a set.
It's not as grand. The resolution's lower.
It's nearly the end of the decade, Jamie.
Let's talk about films.
I started the decade as a 12-year-old boy.
Oh, we could actually have like a whole Sandbox just talking about how crazy this...
How we've grown.
How, for us people of our age, we're 51.
That might be interesting.
I know, I actually quite like that.
You know who's not like expressing themselves much on the internet? 22-year-olds. I didn't know Jamie 10 years ago. Should we talk about the decade?
I kind of want to.
I meant films, not the actual decade itself.
No, I was going to mention one thing about the decade itself.
Go on. What's happened this decade?
No. Just what we were saying. I'll shut up about it afterwards and start talking about like movies and stuff. But just our decade has been insane. Like,
You mean for us two personally?
Us two people in our age bracket.
Yeah.
People who are like we're probably on like the upper limit of it. So like people who are like between 4 years or 0 years younger than us. It's been a crazy decade.
Yeah.
Because you start off as an actual proper child who is really immature. I mean, there's some mature 12-year-olds, but not me.
We still are very immature.
I didn't know Jack at 12, but I'm sure he was immature.
I was extremely immature to that.
And now we're like grizzled adults. That's what a transformation.
No, yeah, this is definitely the period of life where life changes the most.
Anyway,
and it's been a doozy of a decade for us to experience.
We're going to talk about the best... Just films? I think we should just do films.
Let's go for films for now.
Best films of the decade. Start with Death Stranding.
Death Stranding was a wonderful film. I also despise you, and let's actually start. I was at home last night, eagerly preparing for this episode of Sandbox, as I do, the second career that it is. I was like, top 5 films of the decade, let's prepare that. That'll be something to talk about. I ended up writing down 30 films, and I left the list at home. So this is going to be way less prepared than I was expecting it to be.
Should we put a disclaimer out to say we're going to have a nice fun discussion about films, and this is by no means Openly Beta's official list, because if it was our official list, we'd put a lot... I mean, there's so much to think about.
Yeah.
So there's
this is personally to us films that have defined our decade.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think we're gonna focus on actually good movies.
Okay, I've got a few that are coming to my head now. So
right, that's good. I'll start. I'm gonna start with my favourite because I can remember my like higher ones better than I can remember my lower ones. Favourite film of the decade is what I consider my favourite film of all time. It is Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. Have you ever seen it?
Good God, that's such a good movie.
I love that film. I've watched it countless times. I feel like it gives you everything you need. It gives you that warm Wes Anderson coziness. It's very classy, it's very funny, it's very fun, it's interesting to look at.
It's filmed as almost Wes Anderson, but it's filmed just so well. It's so purple.
It's so purple. Another thing I've tried to do is not include a director more than one time. So I'm just gonna. That's my Wes Anderson film.
Do you want to like take it in turns and kind of go quick fire?
Yeah. No, that's. I was kind of trying to set a precedent there. So Grand Budapest Hotel would be my one. I love that film. I don't really know what else to say. The performances are superb. Ralph Fiennes is particularly amazing in that film. I love that film. I watch it a lot and it makes me feel deep feelings inside. And it's got a very bittersweet ending.
Quite a beautiful movie, actually.
Very beautiful movie.
I think nice.
Beautiful is a good word to describe that movie. But yeah, that would be my number one pick.
Okay, so this is in absolutely no order for me. I don't know about you.
Mine is going to start in a bit of an order. Even then, not a very well-defined order.
Because I haven't prepared as well. Yeah. I'm just going to name films that I think are really, really good, that I've really, really liked. They'll definitely be in a top list for me. I'm not going to put it in an order right now, but I'm going to say The Lobster.
Ooh, good pick. I hadn't thought of that one.
That movie is bizarre as hell, but it's like it's the characters are so wonderfully done. It's funny, but like it's really weirdly darkly funny.
It's really weird,
and it's such an intriguing concept.
Yeah,
and obviously completely insane and ridiculous. But it's so ridiculous. Yet there was a lot of detail into making it believable somehow.
That's what I was going to say. It feels oddly grounded.
Like when they go into the forest and there's like I don't know, like a flamingo or something.
Yeah.
Like
That's my nan.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Very good film. Great fight scene with John C. Reilly.
Fantastic. I was thinking that.
The
ending, also completely in context with the world.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
And it really opens up at the end in a way I didn't expect. It's like, there's just a city in real life. It's kind of got a weird Wes Anderson quirkiness to it, just way darker.
In quirkiness, I think obviously Wes Anderson has a probably unique
Wes Anderson
film style,
is quirk.
Filming way, like the way Wes Anderson films movies is like his style.
Yeah, it's so recognisable immediately. Did you see that director's other movie, The Favourite? Because I didn't. I think if I did, that would be on my list. Because I heard very good things, and it sounds like everything I want. So I do need to watch that. I'm probably also going to mention films that I haven't seen that I probably would make it on the list.
Okay.
My number 2 would be the movie Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix. Falls in love with artificial intelligence, Scarlett Johansson.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Her?
I thought I haven't.
That's like the pinnacle of your kind of movie.
Really?
That's very surprising to me. I love that movie. It's basically a romantic drama, but like it's an AI that he falls in love with, and I don't know. It's also got a very unique visual style. It's also a very beautiful film. Really, really good characters like Amy Adams, Chris Pratt. Everyone's really, really likable in it. But it's got this weird presentation of like the near future where it's not bleak, it's not depressing, it's not like everyone's sad, technology bad, blah blah blah. It's weirdly cozy, and the world feels really open and clean. It's just really nice.
That's one of my favourite places that films and media rarely go to. Is like
the nice near future,
but not idealistic necessarily. It rarely happens where it's like, oh, by the way, it's kind of like this takes place in the future, but it's not like in your face. I really like that as a setting.
It's really nice.
It's not done very well very often.
No, it's not. It just feels really cozy and really nice. It's such a nice setting. It's like, there's a lot of depressing aspects of the film, but that's all to do with him and his love life and his breakup and stuff. But then like, it's just, I don't know, it's something. I mean, obviously that's not the reason I love the movie. It's a very good movie for other reasons, but I feel like this is a specific thing to talk about. Yeah, it's just really nice, and it also kind of does tropes in a different way. Like he writes letters for his job, which I feel like is kind of a rom-com sort of lead job. Like, I'm a greetings card writer or something. I don't know. But like what he does, he like reads about people's lives and he sits back and like says out loud what the letter's going to be, and then like the computer like hand writes it for him, and then like they like email it out to the people, stuff like that. Like it's kind of just a near future take on some of those sorts of concepts.
I'm quite surprised that I haven't seen that.
I'm really surprised you haven't.
That sounds really, really good.
And it also it does a lot of things which I think were kind of less explored at the time in terms of, you know, what makes someone human. Why can't you fall in love with an artificial intelligence? What separates this artificial intelligence from us if it's so intelligent? Like, it's got a lot of that sort of stuff in it.
See, I would need a film. Everything else that you said about the film is what I'd watch it for. Like, the whole AI thing, for that to be interesting, it needs to have that unique backbone that you just described. Because the whole is AI us has been done to death. Yeah. So you need to have something that's more than that to carry it, I think.
Which is, you know, I mean, it's a romance about falling in love with an AI, like, and it's done in a, you know, a very serious, very, very grounded way. It's not like ridiculous or comedic or anything. I mean, it kind of is at times, but in a classy way. And I don't know if this is spoilers, but also like, it doesn't go into the like, oh, the AI is evil and alien territory. They're just basically people. They're just minds who are interested in things. You should watch Her.
Wait. Does the AI like escape at the end?
No.
As in like frees itself?
Are you thinking of as in the AI like uploads itself to the internet sort of thing?
Yes.
Would that be spoilers to tell you, or are you now thinking that you've seen the movie?
I think I've seen the movie.
Okay, well, spoilers, but yeah, that does happen.
And like, it's kind of like bittersweet. It's kind of like, I've seen this movie. I've absolutely seen this movie.
How did you forget about this movie?
It's really weird actually. I have a really bad recollection of the movie as a whole, but I really strongly remember the ending because I remember being like, that's really bittersweet.
We should rewatch that for sure.
It's like all of the AIs.
Yeah, they all like leave together to kind of go and explore the universe.
I have actually seen that. I enjoyed that.
Oh man, we've done it too late again. But spoiler warning for every movie that came out in the past decade. If we mention a movie's name, we potentially are about to spoil it. So be prepared for that.
Can I say my next movie?
Your next movie. It's your turn.
Oh, we're probably gonna like we might trip each other's toes. This one I know that you won't say though.
Okay.
Hereditary.
Oh yeah, I considered Hereditary.
Okay.
But
so you've seen it?
I saw it on Halloween this year, very recently. At your recommendation, you told me like the day before to watch it.
Did you like it then? You like?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
That is the best horror movie that I've ever seen. That is genuinely the best horror movie I've ever seen. I think it is actually like a masterclass of how to make things creepy. That movie, there is a tangible dread throughout that entire movie. Yeah. And you have no idea, like it's okay, this is really annoying. So you see lots of advertising for horror movies, and the advertising is always crazy over the top, and they say stuff like people had to leave the theatre, and people like, I thought that movie was evil, or I thought it was cursed. I seriously thought what I was watching was wrong to watch. It felt like this is actually so disturbing. Like, should I actually be watching this right now?
Yeah, I was.
Do you know what I mean?
Literally about to say, just before Halloween, we were talking about, I think we were just talking about horror movies in general, and you mentioned Hereditary to me, and you said multiple times I felt like I shouldn't have been watching the movie. Like, I was watching things that I shouldn't be allowed to see. Yeah. And for me, remembering you saying that and knowing all the hype of the movie made it far worse, because I was watching the movie like, I already hate horrors. I already know like it's supposed to be terrible, but now there's just all this built on top. Like, something's going to be awful. But even with all that hype, it still lived up to it.
But do you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't expect it to go as far as it went. Yeah.
It really pushes it and pushes it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of getting a bit like
uneasy.
No, I am.
No,
like the fact that there's a dead body upstairs in the attic, and then the fact that it then gets up, and it's freaking, it's just terrifying. The way they're not monsters, but the way the monsters look, like the way the people look creepy.
Just like headless people.
Yeah, but like it's like disturbing though. It's like I can't really.
No, it's weird.
It's just done in such a believably.
You don't see. This is gonna sound like the dumbest sentence I've ever said in my life. You don't see headless people very often in films. You really don't.
No.
In horror films, I can't remember ever seeing a headless person realistically looking before.
I'm gonna say,
especially a child.
The kid losing their head.
Yep.
And then seeing what the head looked like after days of decomposing is quite possibly one of the scariest things I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, I was going to say
that
this.
was just absolutely revolting.
Whilst I did think the ending was very scary,
for
me, the scariest part of it was everything to do with the car accident.
Yes.
From the moment she has her head out the window, I thought she's going to hit her head on something and die.
Yeah.
I did not think her head would get ripped clean off.
Yep.
And
then and then the way they dealt with it afterwards is like he kind of like was like, I hope it was like, oh, no, obviously the family were really weird and stuff, but it was like kind of actually realistic in like a, what the frick do you do?
No, absolutely.
You drive back home and you have, like, because that would happen if you were driving, because he was breaking the speed limit.
Yeah.
If you're driving
at
like what, 100 miles an hour, probably, he's like properly on like a highway, and someone has their head out the window and hits on the post, I reckon they probably would actually lose their head.
Yeah.
And so you've got this situation where you have your sister's headless body in the back of your car, and you're like, what do you then do after that? But I feel like the way the movie did it was so good because he was kind of like, he just went to bed.
Yeah. I think
he was so disturbed.
Yeah, and I was watching that thinking, if I ever, God forbid, if this ever happened to me, I can't imagine what I would do. I can't imagine doing anything different to what he did.
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
And another thing I liked...
You can't say
when he's at the party
anything to anyone to make that okay.
When he's at the party, I was just massively expecting a whole cliche. He gets high, the sister drinks or something, there's all this family drama. But that's not necessary. They don't mention any of that. They don't mention him getting high. They don't mention him lying about where he's going. It's just like scratch that. That's been done a million times before.
Yep.
He knocked his sister's head off. And the whole sequence was so unnerving when he's sitting in the car and looking over and then he looks back.
Yep.
And then he hears her going in class and stuff. No cheap jump scares required. Just that was awful.
You know, I don't remember any jump scares. There probably was some. But I do think that most of the time it was just, this is really disturbing.
Yeah, it was
I don't remember many like, rah! When scary things appeared, they kind of like slithered on screen.
Yeah.
Like the mum just walking in and her hair's all like messed up. It's like, that's creepy.
There was a shot near the end where he's laying in bed and the mum's just like in the wall like that. And it holds for like 30 seconds. But I didn't notice until like 20 seconds in. And then I experienced a jump scare, even though it had been there the whole time. Because I only just noticed, I was like, Jesus. Like, you don't need to do cheap jump scares. That was, no sting sound effects.
Your turn for the film.
Oh, man, you've now made me want to talk about another film which wasn't going to be on my list, but potentially could have been on my list anyway.
Okay.
Immediately after Hereditary, I watched a film called Climax, which I can't remember who it's made by. Have you seen the film Love on Netflix? I've never actually watched it, but it's like basically porn, and it's made by this guy who makes weird indie films. And a lot of them are very divisive.
All right, okay.
The header image is like just three people like making out.
Right, okay.
And it's very artsy, but I'm pretty sure it's like one of the only big budget films to feature an erect penis or something. It's the guy who made that, so he makes weird films. He made this film called Climax. I remember hearing about it when it came out from some weird indie film forums, and I really wanted to see it. It played like one time in the entire country in Bristol, and I was in Bristol that weekend and didn't go to see it, and I was so upset.
Wow.
That might be a slight exaggeration,
movie?
but I'm pretty certain. It's this weird indie movie. So it's about this group of dancers, and they're going into this cabin to rehearse this dance, and then after they've rehearsed, they have this party, and then someone spikes the punch with with acid or with something. Spike it with some horrible drug.
I mean, acid and LSD are the same thing, right?
We've been spiked with LSD. Yeah, I think it's acid. And then basically it all gets nightmarish from there. But like, very nightmarish.
This is a horror, is it?
Yeah,
okay.
But it's like a realistic horror. Yeah. You're just watching people freak out. And it doesn't do like their perspective, everything goes all weird and loopy sort of thing. You're just watching from the outside, just people like freaking out. Yeah, and it's very uncomfortable. I watched that just after Hereditary, and honestly, I think that made me more uncomfortable. There wouldn't be much in it.
Wow.
It starts with a really long sequence of them interviewing the dancers. I found out afterwards that most of them, bar two, are actual dancers with no acting experience, and most of the film was heavily improvised. A lot of it is one take. There's like a 40-minute long one-take segment that is improvised, where they're walking around different rooms. 40 minutes. Like...
And that's most of the film?
Semi-improvised, yeah, like a third of the movie. They're walking around the cabin, like, exploring different things. And, you know, I think it was kind of like, what do you want to happen to your character?
Yeah.
I want to do this. I think they would do this with this person. Then he goes to that person. They want to do this. Is that okay? Yeah. And then they kind of just act it out.
Cool.
So the beginning bit is them like interviewing these dancers. That goes on for way longer than you would expect. You think that's going to be the whole film, and then it's like it's like a shot of them talking like this. It's a shot of them talking as we are now. Then the camera will cut to black and then cuts into two more people. Then cuts back and cuts to two more people, and it's just them all talking to each other, kind of building tension, like they're getting ready for this party sort of thing. But it just feels really unnerving for some reason, and I think it's like the cuts to black.
So it is unnerving. Like it is actually.
That's very unnerving.
It leads up to something that is horrendous. Then.
And then they do this long dance, which is very weird and surreal. Then they have the party and do the LSD, and they all just start freaking out, and it gets like awful. Some awful things happen. Some of them are just horrible people, basically, or at least while they're high, they are.
Yeah.
That it's not even like a big culmination to a big final thing, because it's a lot of it is so heavily improvised. It's just constant unnervingness as they get more and more high, basically. You know Kingsman, the first one?
Yes.
You know the woman with Samuel Jackson's woman? Gazette? Whatever her name is. She's in it. Sophia Bull to whatever. She's one of the like main characters. But yeah, it's basically that. And then there's a sequence at the end where the camera is just upside down for the whole sequence, and it's uncomfortably close to everyone, and it just makes you feel sick.
Interesting.
It's a really good film. A lot of people will probably disagree because it's very divisive. That I probably wouldn't consider that one of my favourite films of the decade, but it's extremely interesting and wouldn't be far off. But I think you should have a go now.
For my next pick, okay, there's a few in my head. One of them I know for a fact came out this decade. The other I'm not so sure.
Mm.
I'm actually going to do a quick fact check, but while I do that, I will talk.
Can you tell me and I'll guess?
Or
do you not want to say it out loud in case you suffer the humiliation of it coming out in 2003? Have you seen Midsummer, by the way?
No, and I really want to.
I haven't seen Midsummer, and I really want to.
Okay, it actually wasn't released this decade. I was going to say The Dark Knight.
Oh, 2008.
2008.
I googled that.
Wow, what an old movie.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
Wait,
11 years old.
It's my pick.
Yeah, I was just, for some reason I was going to mention Midsummer. There's a movie reviewer...
I really want to see that.
There's a movie reviewer I watched who...
Oh man, this didn't happen for the whole... Oh. Okay.
Yeah, there's a movie reviewer I watched who genuinely had to leave the cinema for Midsummer because they were so uncomfortable. I was like, I've never heard someone literally say that.
I've been like constantly checking to see when Midsummer. Well, I say constantly. Every time I sit down to watch a movie, I just check to see if Midsummer is actually available.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's available yet to actually watch.
We should watch it
like
soon.
legally. I don't know if you can watch it.
I'm not sure.
But I want to do, before I say my next pick,
Yeah.
I want to have a quick shout out with minimal discussion while we're talking about horrors, because I don't want it to be all about horrors, because we could
It's just
actually
get into
talk about
horror
horrors.
for some reason.
But It Follows is really good.
That was actually on my list. But I don't have a lot to say, so I'm happy for this to be it.
My actual pick, I'm torn between two, so I'm hoping you don't say it next, because I'm going to say that afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say Interstellar.
Yeah, I was looking at all the Nolan films thinking I feel like I should pick at least one because I love Nolan.
Because like Dunkirk as well actually should be on a list somewhere.
Inception was 2010.
Inception was 2010?
Inception was this decade. It had a break in between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises to make Inception.
Obviously, Inception is obviously like amazing.
I think I would put Inception ahead of Interstellar, to be fair, but not by much.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to still say Interstellar instead because it had quite an impact when I watched it. I also really enjoyed Inception, but for some reason, it's really.
I think it's me leaving the shot.
I
This is a podcast. You don't need to watch us.
I left the cinema from Interstellar being like, just what absolutely wonderful movie.
It was very awe-inspiring.
Awe-inspiring, but also it was like a classic Christopher Nolan way of making a movie.
Yeah.
In that it was, despite being this epic movie, the practical effects were still there, and it felt, it just, you know what I mean. I'm not articulating it very well because if you haven't seen a Christopher Nolan movie, then you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it had that Christopher Nolan feel that I think he has unique to his movies.
It does.
And like kind of like a rawness
It's
about
like
it.
Yeah, it's like the pinnacle of blockbuster where it's like almost like
But like good, but like not like a
not in like a schlocky sort of way.
In like no, this is like quality.
It's kind of, this is probably an awful way of describing it, but it's kind of like James Cameron but classier.
Yeah, I think.
Or maybe like Peter Jackson as well.
I completely agree with you.
Like like those sorts of films, but it's done with
class.
style.
I think so.
Yeah, with class.
I obviously the plot is. I just think it's so awesome.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love. It's like some just pure, cool sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they paint Earth is fantastic.
Yeah.
How it's kind of like similar to what you were talking about with Her, in that it's not a dystopia. So whereas Her is like a good but not like complete utopia future. This is like not a dystopia, but it's clearly a little bit worse. Like it's not. Yeah, but like it's not.
It's still pretty normal.
It's not like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, people are like pretty poor.
Yeah.
But it's not Mad Max.
Yeah.
But I like that. It was like a cool in between.
No, I do know what you mean. Yeah. Like we have the space technology, but we're not living in the sky.
And the dad, the old man, is like someone who's our age, because he was like, yeah, in my day, you know, it's like every day.
Oh yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
Like, you mean? No, his dad.
Oh yeah.
He was us.
Yeah, the dad from Planet of the Apes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was effectively our age.
Yeah. So that puts into perspective when it's set sort of thing. Yeah. No, yeah. Interstellar was very good. That and Inception are pretty tied. I mainly just love the final score in Inception. A song called Time. It just cements that whole movie for me.
Inception, man.
Yeah. I mean, Inception was completely iconic. It added a whole annoying trend of people putting Inception at the end of words. Even though that's not what Inception means. Yeah.
I know.
That's us. That's our generation.
That is so unbelievably irritating. And like, it's frustrating because you know what they mean, and I've used it to describe something before, and I'm well aware of how stupid it is.
Yeah, I just accept it at this point.
Yeah.
Those are peak Christopher Nolan for me. Can I go next?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the subjects of Mad Max.
Who else?
Do you want to go? Failure? On the subjects of Mad Max...
What a callback to last week's episode.
Yeah, do you remember that? I am going to mention what will be on both of our lists. Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Which I think would put a number 3 of my favourite movies of all time. Or of this decade, rather. Be pretty high up there for all time. Mad Max Fury Road was an exhilarating masterpiece. It had such great world building that we've kind of talked about before. It really showed and didn't tell. Like those weird stilt people, for example. A lot of practical effects masterfully moulded with CGI. A really great story. I mean, the story wasn't really great, but it was just like a long chase scene. It didn't need to be anything more. It was told well.
It's another thing.
Amazing action.
Another thing that I'm not going to be able to
Characters.
articulate particularly well because it's a hard concept for me to put words to.
Mm.
But in a lot of movies, action sequences aren't thrilling to watch and are not interesting. Sometimes at all. Like there are movies.
There's usually no stakes.
There are movies that I've watched where the action sequence is like, this is high budget, this is well filmed, and there's something missing. I'm not finding this interesting. Mad Max was almost only action.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely glued to
the screen. Yeah.
I was absolutely eating up that movie. It was so good.
It was really good. It was the perfect action movie for me.
That is the quintessential action movie for me as well.
It was really phenomenal. And I mean, Nicholas Holt's insanity was also very well portrayed. Scream Witness Me, Oh What a Lovely Day.
Awesome.
It was just badass, but not in like a schlock. I mean, I guess it kind of was schlock.
It was heavy metal.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Right? Literally, there's a guitar man. Like...
I'm telling you, have that whole movie. I mean, there wasn't much dialogue anyway, but take the dialogue out and just keep the sound effects in, and then just put a heavy metal soundtrack on.
Yeah.
That would be it. Essentially, most of the movie, ignoring like the basically kind of the beginning, right at the beginning, and like there's a little bit kind of towards the end.
Bits,
but basically, that whole movie put a heavy metal soundtrack.
Yeah.
And that's like the best music video ever made.
Yeah.
It's so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And the guitar player.
Also,
like, my God, that was so cool. It's just like, okay.
Also, like, great, strong female characters who, like, fight Tom Hardy.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just...
Yeah.
Do that more.
Yeah.
It's great. It's not mentioned. I mean, there is a lot of kind of, we are not objects or whatever it is.
I mean, it's
which is obviously a bit more on the nose, but a lot of the time it's very like, this is great.
Yeah, it's obvious that they're meant, these women are obviously supposed to be like these kind of like, well, basically like they are angels amongst everything else.
Yeah.
Like they're in white, aren't they? I swear they are. Like, aren't they?
They
like,
all are, yeah.
And they're like the only people who don't
got
look.
all your teeth.
They don't look. They are by far the most beautiful people.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is beyond grotty.
Yeah.
These people are like normal looking, like as in they're not dirty and grimy and disgusting.
Yeah.
They don't look like they've come from an apocalypse.
Yeah.
So they're such a great contrast, and it's so good that it's like, oh no, they are like. They don't want to... they're like normal people. They're actual believable people.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, like, so clearly out of place compared to the rest of the world that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I really like the characters.
No, I do
you know what I mean? Like, they're
Yeah.
supposed to be, like... What's the name of the main villain? Who had them?
Something Joe.
Like, they're like...
Inquisitor Joe.
Like, that was the whole thing. Like, they're like his prisoners. Like,
Yeah.
Were they his kids?
No, they were just his slaves, I think.
Or his slaves?
They weren't his kids.
Okay, I thought they were.
He had those two sons. One of them was really big and dumb, and one of them was like deformed.
Oh yeah.
And then he wanted to have a healthy son, but he died.
Yeah, but like they. I don't know.
I
Like,
know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's freaking cool.
Good feminist film, Mad Max Fury Road.
No, it was. I mean, Furiosa was sick, and they're making the next one. Well,
they're not making the new one.
Probably not making the new one, but they were going to make the new one all about her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a great character.
She's a really good character, so... I mean, way better than Mad Max.
All of the women
I mean, obviously Mad Max is awesome in the film, right? But as a character, he's just like...
No, he doesn't have a lot of character.
I'm Mad Max.
Batman.
Yeah. I mean, what did he say in the movie? I mean, what actually did he say? I feel like you could probably summarise it in like a couple of lines.
He ate a lizard at the beginning. I just don't remember any of his lines. That's blown my mind.
That's because he doesn't say anything.
No, he really doesn't.
He basically says nothing.
Tom Hardy's great at that.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan does that. He hides as much as Tom Hardy as possible. He's like, all you need is his eyes. So he always puts him in a mask and just zooms in his eyes. Like, look how much emotion he's showing, just his eyes. And he's really good at it.
Right.
On to your next choice. Assuming you have one.
No, I do. I'm torn between two.
Hit me with both. Quick fire 'em.
Avengers Infinity War.
Ooh, yeah.
Obviously, Endgame or Infinity War.
Those are the two you're torn between.
I'm just going to say, like, the Infinity War, those two movies, as a concept. In my personal opinion, Infinity War I enjoyed more than Endgame.
I agree. I was going to give an honourable mention to the Marvel MCU franchise as a whole.
Yes. Because
I feel like I couldn't choose one film.
Well, I was going to say Infinity War as kind of like that. Everything that MCU encapsulates kind of is in that movie.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Because I can't really think of one Marvel film that I would put in. But I feel like you have to mention the franchise. Infinity
War is, if it is not the best. All the other films he talks about are debatably better movies, right?
Yeah.
But this film it's not only is it definitely a great movie, a really good movie for sure. What it symbolises, what it stands for, and what it's done. If we were going to give these films like awards, it would win an award for either like the most influential film, most. I mean, it is unprecedented. The amount of effort, the amount of care and attention and build up has never even remotely happened before, and may never happen again.
It is an absolute landmark, and
seriously,
it's brought into film cinematic universes as such a desirable concept, which, whether or not you like that, a lot of them haven't turned out so good. But Marvel have somehow nailed the formula. Regardless of whether or not you like the Marvel films, you cannot deny
the secret.
It's impressive.
The secret to it is take your time.
Take your time, absolutely, because none of the others have.
Because
it never works.
They're all just going like, I get it. They want their intentions. Their intentions might not even be evil. Like some of them, I think DC, they were bad intentions. They were going, we want that Avengers money now.
Yeah.
Whereas other movies, I mean, I'm thinking of Glass.
Yeah.
I think there were good intentions with that whole thing, but
I don't even know what Glass.
I just feel like that third movie needed more time in the oven. Like,
yeah, I think that's often it is. They just want to catch up to Marvel, but you've got to take your time to care about the characters, or you're not going to care when they appear in each other's movies.
Yeah.
Like, I vividly remember seeing. I would probably put Avengers Assembled as not even better, because I probably did prefer Infinity War, but I feel like it was more influential in that it kind of properly kick-started everything.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But I just think that Infinity War was like once they'd done Avengers, and I get what you're saying. Like the Avengers had to happen first, otherwise none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like once they knew that Avengers was happening, that took a good few years.
Yeah.
And then they were like, right, now we're actually going to plan out even more time span.
Yeah.
And at the end of that is Infinity War.
Yeah.
/Endgame. And I don't know.
No, yeah, I do know what
It
you
wouldn't
mean.
have happened without the first movie. The first movie obviously was
Infinity War definitely felt like
more important.
the culmination.
But I just can't. There's just.
Yeah.
Whereas Avengers, that could feasibly happen again with a different universe of movies.
You can get to that point a lot easier than you get to
Infinity
War's
War
point.
is just the most insane labour of love.
No, it was good. It was actually for the fans. Like,
yeah.
And one other thing to mention,
Yes.
The ending of Infinity War was I might have mentioned this before, it was the most unique cinema experience I've ever had. It was silence. Like, I'm pretty sure you could hear someone sobbing, but like, it was so intense. It filled you with goosebumps. Even if you didn't really care about these characters, like, you've got to agree that it was brave.
If you don't care about the characters,
yeah,
I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah. I mean, and sure, you know they're going to come back, and sure, it would be braver if they did just kill off Spider-Man, the 17-year-old. But, like, I think it was still pretty brave of them to just end the movie on that for, like, a year. You've got to wait around, they'll just die. But, yeah, I mean, Marvel in general, I saw a post not long ago on Reddit about the casting director for Marvel, and, like, she definitely deserves all the bonuses in the world. So much of that casting is so perfect.
I'm sure they have received that bonus.
I don't think Marvel cast or crew gets paid very well. I'm joking, of course. Yeah, and saying that, I'd probably put Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok above both of those Avengers films. Maybe on par with Infinity War.
If I had to choose my favourite Marvel movie, it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Because
especially for us, that was a great time. Yeah.
I've watched that movie.
That was also very influential.
Actually, probably like 5 times.
Yeah. And then I had to analyse it for media in A-level, so I watched it a billion times. Yeah, that was very that kind of brought in everyone wants to be 80s and fun and funny.
Yeah, it did.
Colourful.
Yeah.
That and Stranger Things.
Throw in another movie now.
Throw in another movie. My next movie is going to be another Scarlett Johansson movie because she has been one of my favourite actresses of the decade. And it is going to be Under the Skin. Have you seen Under the Skin?
I'd have to Google it, I don't know. Or you can tell me.
Scarlett Johansson plays an alien woman and she drives around Scotland in her lorry and seduces men into her, or like a van rather.
What an interesting...
Seduces Scottish men into a van, takes them back to a hotel room, which becomes a weird black void, and then they're walking along in this black void and they just crumple up into skin. And then, like, she maybe starts to feel human emotion, and she starts getting chased by these men on bicycles who you assume are other aliens. It stars Brighton Uni alumni Adam Pearson briefly. It's got a weird message kind of about body image as well. It's a very surreal movie. It's really cool. Also, a lot of that was improvised, where it's just Scarlett Johansson driving around in a van, like, excuse me, we've got directions to blah, blah, blah. And some Scottish guy comes over like, blah, 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 blah. That was more Irish, even though I just did noises.
That sounds like a cool movie. I've never heard of that.
Have you never even heard of it? It's a bit under the radar. That's kind of a lie. It's probably
Scarlett Johansson.
It's probably the most well-known indie movie of this decade. Very cool movie. Definitely up there for me. I love that film. It's very strange, very dreamlike.
See, now I'm running into difficulties. Not because I haven't got any more movies that I loved, but I'm now
the best ones.
No, it's not that. I'm trying to. I can't think of movies right now. I need a moment.
Should I keep going? Because I've got more.
Oh, you can do.
Can I hit you with an honourable mention? Because then I'm not actually adding to the official list. The official list will be on our website, openbeat.com/movies. I should make us a website still. Honourable mention, Chronicle 2012.
That is a good honourable mention. That's a very like
random
choice pick. Like, fair enough.
I saw, if you don't know, Chronicle is a found footage movie about 3 boys who find a weird thing underground and then find that they've developed telekinetic powers.
That's a cool movie.
And then one of them kind of turns evil and insane, and it leads up to a really, really incredible third act. There's some sloppiness in that movie in terms of the found footage aspects and maybe some other things. I can't really think of any dumb plot devices. I think it's just kind of found footage aspects at times it's hard to justify.
Also, the ending, as with most of these movies, the stakes get too high and it ruins the characters.
Do you think?
I think so.
I don't think that. See, I really enjoyed the ending.
I think that the did it as well as they could have done, but I just think that those sort of movies, at the beginning of it, is always more enjoyable than the end.
I don't even get that. I absolutely know what you're saying, and I can think of many movies where I think that. But in this specific example, I don't get that. It feels to me like it was building up to this ending, even though the stakes do get very high. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not high art, but from 2012 to 2015, like, that was one of my favourite movies of all time. I love that film.
Oh, I also really enjoyed it.
It's a very good film.
I've got the film that I want to shout out.
Go for it. I think.
Well, this isn't shout out. I want to put my list.
Shout out! Shout out to this!
Shout out to this movie.
AAA Hollywood movie. Can movies be AAA? Is that just games?
Get direct messages from like Brad Pitt, like, oh, thanks guys.
Thanks guys.
Have you seen Predestination?
No, but that rings a lot of bells in my head. Describe it to me.
This movie, this is actually on my official list, okay? Mm-hmm. Because, well, I don't know what this official list is. I mean, it's a huge list. Because...
this is on list CA.
This movie isn't like... This is like in terms of like critics, it's like a solid 7, right?
7 for Chronicle, I'd say.
But I'm a sucker for twists. I'm a sucker for time travel, and I'm a sucker for those two things happening absolutely perfectly and so well thought out. I love time travel movies where it makes sense and they've really, really, really thought about it.
Yeah.
That is this movie.
What is it? Because I really recognise it. I know you said it's time travel. I recognise it more.
Okay.
I'm going to Google the poster.
It's a movie where I'm going to try and remember it. Okay. It starts off with a crime is committed and you follow this man who is trying to... He basically defuses a bomb. It's a terrorist plot.
Yeah.
And you follow this man who is trying to solve this mystery.
Yeah.
But I can't remember at what point it comes into the movie, but it very, very quickly goes absolutely insane, and it's like heavy, heavy, heavy time travel.
Yeah.
That
is interesting because looking at pictures of the movie, you don't get that impression.
No, and me and my dad sat down and watched this movie, and we were basically starved. We've looked at all the other movies, couldn't find anything, and we're like, well, this has got like 7s. It's not a bad movie. Let's watch it.
Okay, yeah.
By the end of it, we're like, whoa!
Yeah, that's always fun.
I can't explain. It's one of those movies where I can't explain why I love it without absolutely, utterly spoiling the movie.
Yeah.
Because you haven't seen it potentially.
I actually might check it out.
Okay.
So I'm going to request that you don't spoil it too heavily.
I won't spoil it, but the twist is like, all right. It's just so cool.
That's very interesting to me.
And there's some... I know I said that I like it when it all makes sense. It does. There's a little bit of a jump that you have to make to kind of accept one of the biggest plot points.
Yeah. They
do explain how it's possible, but it's like, okay, I'll go with it. They explain it.
Yeah.
But man, I can't really talk about any more about this movie. Basically there's lots of time travel.
Yeah.
There's lots of jumping.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, all over this timeline. I know this isn't a spoiler. It's about an agency of people who are time traveling assassins. Well,
okay. Terrorists.
Hitmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Might check that out.
But it's very well thought out. Yeah.
Well, you've piqued my interest. Can I fire off some last few?
I'll say time check.
Not much time.
No.
I'm going to fire off a couple of directors first of all.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi made What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People.
Like a sequel to this episode.
I think we should.
There's a lot more we can talk about.
Yeah.
So. Go on.
Taika Waititi. Hunt for the Wilder People is probably my favourite of his. Great fun, cute movie with Sam Neill and that chubby kid who was in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Very nice, warm, loving movie. Very funny. Very Taika Waititi quirky. He also did Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows, which were also great. Director I definitely can't not mention is Denis Villeneuve, who made Blade Runner 2049, Prisoners, Arrival.
I liked Arrival.
Sicario.
I did not enjoy Blade Runner.
Did you not enjoy Blade Runner 2049?
In fact, I thought it was a very boring movie.
Interesting. I liked Blade Runner. Have you seen the original Blade Runner?
I watched it after 2049.
Interesting.
I thought it was a very boring movie.
Man, very hot take there.
Yeah.
Well, I would be torn between Arrival and Prisoners. I would probably... in fact, no, I can't pick. I love them both equally. Maybe Arrival a bit higher, but they're both so good. Yeah. Prisoners was just intense. Great acting. Paul Dano did a great job, as always. Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, they're all good. Yep. Yeah. And Arrival was just very emotional and great as well, and also a bit time travelling.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that whole...
I loved the twist ending, was so good in that for me.
Yeah, that was really good.
I've just thought of another movie that I need to mention right now, and that is going to be Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Nightcrawler's really good.
Also one of my favourite actors of this decade.
So good.
He has done about 2 average movies, maybe 3. And about 20 amazing movies.
Yeah, I know.
Or like at least amazing roles in movies.
Yeah.
He is always very good. Nightcrawler was very good. Nightcrawler actually has just brought me onto another one, which is Whiplash. Have you seen that? About the drummer boy.
I feel like I have.
With J.K. Simmons is his teacher.
I don't know, but I feel like I have.
He's very intense and throws a chair at him. Whiplash and Nightcrawler are both kind of about people who will do anything to pursue their dreams and go to kind of strange, dangerous lengths to fulfill their ambitions. And they're both very good, dark movies. I love them both. And I've probably now mentioned 10 movies. My list is done. I'm sorry I had to get out of my system. My Word document just appeared before me.
Thank you for watching to the end of this video.
Thank you very much for that.
Because you're one of the people who's got to the end of this video, we can say stuff that may be really embarrassing if most people heard it. But you're a top fan, so you can hear this. We'd like to do another episode of this. It might not happen.
Yeah, I can see us doing a part 2.
I'd like to do a part 2
because then you can prepare.
And then I can prepare. And
then that's
the thing. I'm sitting here, and you're coming out with these really great movies that aren't like clearly the obvious choices. Like, for example, Avengers is kind of like, well, duh.
Yeah.
But I know I've watched so many movies this decade.
Yeah.
If I give me a list, I'd be like, okay, yeah, of course.
I've unfairly prepared for this, and I still have a lot more to mention. But I'm pretty certain I've rounded off my like most of my favourites. Oh, except my favourite animated movie of the decade, which is definitely probably my top 5, which is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
that is one of my favourite movies of the decade, definitely. By far my favourite animated movie.
God.
We've talked about that a lot, though. I'm pretty sure we did a whole podcast on that.
I'm pretty sure we definitely did.
That film made us feel pure joy, and it was pure joy.
Right, bye.